We haven't really done an update on the C7 time attack car in a while. Wanted to quickly do that. The shop's empty for once. Everybody's gone home, put in a good hard day's work. Just a recap, if we rewind to April, we were at CODA and we were working really hard with the new powertrain and new firmware to just get the car as fast as we could go. We knew we weren't in optimal conditions to go sub 2, but we really felt that we could knock some time off. Well, we had a couple things happen. First issue was with the LT5 blower. Car was making, we're not sure where it makes power because honestly we dyno it at low boost, and so we believe we're making somewhere between 11 and 1200 wheel horsepower. Most of you know it's still a stock LT4 short block, stock LT4 Corvette, aluminum bearings, does not have a lead bearing in it. And the power we're making now, obviously the car is going faster. So with the double element wing, with the big splitter, with all of the big aero parts on it, open windows, with open windows, mind you, the car is going 193 on the back straight of CODA. That's really fast. And while we expected to go that fast, I guess I overlooked the fact that we'd be turning significantly higher engine speed. And so we're entering the traps with the old gear set. We're entering the traps around 193, 194, 195 at 7,500 RPM. And what happens is the crankshaft, it starts to whip like a jump rope. It starts to flex. And RPM is a big contributing factor, that as is the amount of power we're putting to the crank. And so at CODA, we knocked a bearing out of it. The engine was still running, but it had to have touched down and wiped the bearing. It didn't spin it. It was number 5 main. And we had a significant decrease in oil pressure, and the Motec caught it. The boys noticed a real big deviation in oil pressure, and so we canned it, pulled the motor. The scavenge filter was full. Pulled off some heroic stuff. We changed the motor at CODA because we had a 2-day private test with some IMSA guys, and we didn't. That opportunity isn't presented to you very often, and so we had to make hay while the sun shines, and we changed the motor. Got the motor in, and we completed the remainder of the test 3/4 of the following day. We got a lot of time in. Everything went great. We then turned the car around. We went to Gridlife at Carolina Motorsports Park, set a new track record. The car just did laps. Yes, if you recall, also we had a tooth failure on a drop gear, and that was from foreign object damage. And so we found the culprit, got that all fixed up, and yeah, that was pretty awesome. Great weekend. Came back again. I might be getting my timeline mixed up here. It's all a blur right now, but it's a good blur. We regroup. I start putting together another motor, start getting parts together so we can have a spare at this point. We had a really good weekend at VIR. Absolutely phenomenal weekend there. Car went up 142. I changed 6th gear. It dropped engine speed to 7,000 RPM at 193. We went 193 there as well. And yeah, we further pushed the car to the limit, and it was a fantastic weekend. Came back again. We had an Edge Addicts event at CODA, 2-day deal, and the first time we've run somewhere around 1,500 gallons of fuel through this car. We've got over 2,500 track miles, and we have never broken a blower belt. And coming around the carousel on the first time lap of the weekend, we broke a drive belt, whether it was the serpentine that failed or the blower belt. Either way, we lost one. And before Alan could realize and process what was happening, because you could see chunks of the belt coming out of the louvers of the hood, he didn't know. He just, again, we've never experienced this failure before, so how do you prepare for that? And coming out of 20, when the blower belt broke, it wedged itself into the dry sump belt and it snapped the dry sump belt. The engine immediately, ignition was cut. However, it was at 5,000 RPM in 4th gear, I think, and lost power. He coasted down in gear because this is sequential, so it was still in gear. He didn't think to push the clutch in until the very last second. So it ran with essentially no oil pressure, but it did have 65 kPa crankcase vacuum, so it had a little bit of differential pressure. And towed the car in, put all new belts on it. Drive shaft was straight on the dry sump. Started it back up. Oil pressure was phenomenal. It was within 1 psi of where it was in the morning warm-up, and so we sent it. And on the out lap, so this is now the beginning of the second lap, we had a connecting rod failure. And the connecting rod failed because the bearing spun, number 3 main bearing spun, and yeah, we put a hole in the block. First time we put a hole in the block. I'm not proud of it, but we're learning and we're doing our best. So at that point, that weekend was over. I didn't have another spare motor put together. We called it. Luckily, we're so busy, we didn't have a chance to unload the Supra from VIR NASA event. So we put a passenger seat in the Supra, and him, Alan, and Trenton Eastep, his IMSA co-driver, they spent a day and a half riding shotgun with each other in this GT4 car. It was probably one of the coolest things that I've experienced, and it's incredible watching Alan learn and watching Trenton coach, and just the two of them working together is something special. And Trenton's young enough, he's excited to jump in the right seat, right? So who wants to go a 213 or 214 at Coda in the right seat, right, with a crazy pro? And that's Trenton. So I'm glad that we were able to salvage the weekend from that perspective. Wasn't a total loss. It just, the old vet just pushed it further back. So at this point, I've purchased several more LT4 dry sump long blocks because the way our dry sump's set up, we have to use a long snout crank, and that only comes in the C7s. And those, you cannot buy those engines as crate engines anymore. And so eBay and Marketplace and the forums are my only source of finding engines. And so you might ask, why do we continue to use the LT4 short? And it's because, one, we can still get them, we can get them, right? They hold the power. To this point, we've now had 2 situations. Well, I think one we did, when we lost the blower belt and the car coasted down for 10 seconds with no oil pressure, it obviously a touchdown, crankshaft touchdown on the bearings, and it spun the bearings. And so we caused that. The car ran phenomenal at CMP, it ran phenomenal at VIR, it ran phenomenal at our local test. For those of you wondering, cars in the I-107s at MSR, Crescent, on scrubs. And so I have a good feeling the car will go 104, 105 in the fall on a sticker tire. So now here we are, getting ready. We're prepping for Watkins Glen Gridlife. We leave in 2 weeks. The engine we purchased, I went ahead and took it to a gentleman, Ivan at Higher Power, and we basically blueprinted it. We took the OEM engine assembly apart. We measured everything. We checked the RA, RVK, RPK on the cylinder wall. We measured RA of the crankshaft. We measured RA of literally every surface we could measure and that we could have an impact on. So we've taken the OEM short block and we blueprinted it. Still stock crank, stock rod, stock pistons. We coated the skirts, left the piston wall alone, left the ring gap alone, and yeah, we're hopeful that that this will just give us another good step in reliability. So we will be bringing a spare engine to Watkins Glen, and then hopefully that everything goes as planned and we don't have to pull the engine out of the car. So We appreciate all y'all on this journey. It's kind of cool. The car's super neat. Alan drives the absolute wheels off of it. And yeah, here's to not putting her on out the block and going fast.